You're here.
We're here.
That was the first step. Y'all
Yeah.
made it here.
Amen.
I'm glad you guys made it safely.
Yes.
There's real challenges in travel. It's you know,
it ain't for
anything
everybody.
can happen, and you are not in control of so many things.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful for the safe travels when people get here.
Yeah.
It's that in and of itself is a journey. Coming through the mountains. Those mountains wind up to almost 14,000 feet.
Yeah.
That's like Machu Picchu height.
Yeah.
You start feeling the impacts of that. You start feeling the effort that it takes to get oxygen into your body.
That's
where your
right.
body's calling you to, okay, do what you need to do for survival.
Mhm.
Your body's programmed to survive. But coming down into this place that's become a special place for me, we're in a valley in the mountains, in the Cajas Mountains. And there's just so much that goes along with that. But one of the challenges of exploring greater freedoms in life was I could be anywhere in the whole wide world. Children are grown, doing reasonably, having reasonably stable lives, but not stable. They're responsible for their lives.
That's right.
Not being responsible for anything or anyone. Where do you go? And part of what retirement, the definition for me was having the ability to do what I want 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
When I want.
Being able to choose the things in my life that are meaningful. And I had a lot of passions, things that I feel passionate about, some that I feel called to. But, people say, well, is that, is this God's purpose? And for me, especially as my spiritual life has moved into an interfaith space where I can learn from all of the traditions, and that I believe that we need bits and pieces of all of them to make the whole. It was realizing that whether it's God's plan or my own creative plan, and I'm the co-creator, or I'm making it all up by myself, I still want to do the stuff I want to do.
That's right.
I want to do the stuff I'm passionate about. And moving into that place for me has been, what's stopping you?
Right.
And my work started saying, how do we fix community? And it was, we know how to do it. We have evidence, we have experiences coming out of American living and living in the spaces of cultural Blackness, the cultural parts of that. We understand community in ways that are lifelines. We understood how it worked.
That's right.
How you took care of each other. Working as a historian, though, I've looked at it from a historical standpoint of what did communities do? How did they function? How did they function before civil rights? How did they function right at the edge of Reconstruction? How did they function before there was welfare? And one of the things that I understood was that community worked because it was about loving relationships. Wasn't that we had it all. Wasn't that life was wonderful and things were all rosy. In spite of that, we lived and we thrived. And for me, that move was about, well, where do you want to go? And part of it is I want to follow this spiritual path of where am I supposed to be? And for me, it was find the place with the least resistance to healing. Well, that's pretty wide open. That's kind of esoteric. And well, where is that place? Well, it's wherever life leads me that opens up, that fits that picture. You'll know it when you get there. And through lots of things and connections and people and dots.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to connect the dots.
The strings, you see the yarn up there, the strings wove together and pointed to Cuenca and pointed to Capulispamba and pointed to this spot specifically. And the longer I stay here, the more that feels out. It's kind of like having a picture, but you just got the outline.
Yeah.
Say, hold on, don't put no colors on it yet till you get there. And as those colors begin to fill into the picture of my personal vision, this has felt like the right place to be. And so it has given me the opportunity to do the things I'm passionate about. And that's how do we heal community? Starting with the realization that I am community. I'm the part of community that I actually can do something about.
Right.
I can maybe influence some of the
Mhm.
others, but the one thing in community I can fix
Mhm.
is my stuff.
That's right.
Exactly.
And that I believe is really where the emerging paradigm is going, that if you aren't able to live it, we don't need you leading it. I'm firm on that.
I agree 1000%.
I believe that the Les Brown mindset is the old paradigm.
Mm-hmm.
The fake it till you make it
Mm-hmm.
has caused lots of damage, especially among women.
Mm-hmm.
Women in this cohort are women that have lived some life.
Mm-hmm.
Got to be at least 50 years old.
Right.
Got to have lived some life.
Yeah.
You got some baggage.
Do. Right.
When you've spent at least 50 years in life, especially American society, you know the cost of faking it for you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know the cost of the energy it took to get up and go to places, to be able to put a roof over your head and food on the table for
Yeah.
you and your family.
When every part of your being was saying, no, I don't want to do this.
I know the truth, and yet I do the thing that is
That's
not
right.
true to
That's
me.
right.
I know what I really want to do, and it ain't coming here and dealing
Mhm.
with y'all and doing this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paper chasing, whatever it may have
Real
been.
talk.
And it's not that we didn't do it. It's not that there wasn't some joy in it. But if you've lived at least 50 years, especially in American society, you understand a lot of the ways that you have had to fake life.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Daily.
We put the costumes on.
Put them on. Bring it back.
We switch the code,
That's
and
right.
we
Bag of
speak
masks.
in ways.
That's right.
Reach in and get one that fits.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in that era.
Yep.
I grew
How
up
old
with,
are you?
I'm 52.
Okay.
I grew up in the era where my grandmother understood that well. She was a businesswoman
Mhm.
in a time where that was unlikely for a black woman.
Mhm. Absolutely.
I grew up in the era where I remember putting 3 dry beans under my tongue to be able to perfect my diction because that was
Oh, wow.
important.
Wow. That was
It forces your mouth and your tongue to do
some
things.
things.
My grandmother was not a speech therapist.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
My grandmother went and got a GED as an adult.
Mhm.
She wasn't afforded to the science of it,
Right.
but she understood the culture of it.
Mm-hmm.
She understood the challenges that are very specific to being culturally black.
Mm-hmm.
But she showed me what happens when you fake it.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
It becomes poison to your own soul.
It becomes
That
poison to
part.
everything.
Yeah.
You can't function if you're not being real with you.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever
Part
that
of
looks
the
like.
homage of the Gangsta Grannies, in a real way,
Mm-hmm.
is about those that we've lost that didn't have the opportunity to heal,
Mm-hmm.
and those that are still living that we do have the opportunity to give this option of healing. One of the things that did not happen in mass when slavery ended, they got freedom, or at least a symbol of freedom, but there never was the time to stop and do the healing before they went into that new paradigm of their
I
life.
got to survive. I got to keep surviving.
Mm-hmm.
This work is intentionally about saying if we learn from the past, then we understand that if we stop,
Mm-hmm.
get your freedom,
Mm-hmm.
whatever means necessary, get your freedom. But if we first stop,
Mm-hmm.
rest,
Rest.
and then retool.
That was taboo.
You're right.
I remember my grandmother
Mhm.
saying, "Isn't there something you need to be doing?"
Mhm,
Like,
No,
mhm,
I was intentionally lazy as a child.
mhm.
I wasn't
But,
afforded that option
uh,
at all.
Being the last,
Mm-hmm.
she didn't feel like doing all that.
Mm-hmm.
It was just easier to do
Mhm.
herself. But I get it. She was just trying to make everything be as happy as possible,
Mhm, mhm,
given the circumstances.
mhm,
Right.
mhm.
Right.
And part of this is about if we learn from that. I'm a historian professionally.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's where all these hats, what are you? I'm also the llama's mama, so don't get it twisted. I've been a lot of things, and the titles fit the time or the chapter of life.
Yeah.
But one of the things I learned was first, history is told through the eyes of those who it's relevant to.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
But what we learn from this experience historically is that if we have the opportunity to rest,
Mm-hmm.
the new paradigm is going to require new tools. Because if the tools that we need for the new paradigm, if we had them, we'd be using them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We'd be using them. All of the tools that we've got, not all of them are obsolete,
Mm-hmm.
but there's some tools to be able to live in this new paradigm that we don't have.
Right.
The social tech work has been that work of saying, what are the tools we need if we're going to go to this new paradigm? How do we build the bridges?
Mm-hmm.
How do we help others cross that bridge? But how do we create new places?
Mm-hmm.
And part of that answer for me was community. Community. Community in ways that individuals can express what they need, and community can move and ebb and flow to be able to create that. And so 25 years ago, I got involved in the intentional community movement to say we can build communities quicker than we can rebuild society as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
We can begin to infuse wellness one community at a time and let that expand. But the other part was, as you begin to heal, the old paradigm becomes much more intolerable. Guests come here, even for a short time, and I tell them, when you go back to the United States, it's going to become even a little bit more intolerable.
Exactly. Every time I go back, it is.
When you go and understand what it feels like to lift burdens,
Oh my God.
shackles, bondages. And
Put
some of those are
bags down,
bondages.
you can't pick them back up. You can't.
It's very difficult. And so part of this is strategic.
Mm-hmm.
I want them to go back and feel real
Exactly.
uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because part of this work also says that for some, for many, crisis is what shifts your paradigm faster than anything
Yes.
else.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Faster than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And my work is called to the paradigm shifters and pioneers, those who are called to lead others out of bondage.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different kind of bondage.
Mm-hmm.
But I've realized that slavery was bad. But the kind of bondage we're in, we now volunteer for and fund ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
which is worse.
Mm-hmm.
Slavery that you're taken and you've been taken into, or slavery that you volunteer to go into and then pay for the
And
experience.
you pay for the experience. Wow. Yeah.
I pay for the raggedy food that poisons me
Yeah.
by design.
Yeah.
But without having to say what's worse or better, it just is what it is. And bondage of any kind is the opposite of freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that we change the world by freeing ourselves to live in love, regardless of how other people do. Because see, when I heal, I got a tolerance for other people's stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I got a tolerance when they take my stuff and cause inconveniences in my life.
Mm-hmm.
My latest adventure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I have a tolerance for a greater tolerance for the unhealed parts of others without it causing me harm. So this is not about martyrdom. This is not about I'm going to sacrifice my life for you. No, it says, I see your damage is showing and I love you anyway, because I get to choose who I am.
Mm-hmm.
I get to choose how I do life. And so part of this work and part of why I've put the energy into really supporting the Women Heal Together initiative, and specifically the older woman, is really about the give back. It's the healing that I didn't see my mother and grandmother have. They lived in the old paradigm and they died in the old paradigm. Wonderful women, did wonderful things, did lots of good for a lot of people. My grandmother was building schools in Africa way back in the day. Before there was the movement and the departures, and saw to do good in others. My mother and friends, women's spiritual koinonia, 30 years of work. I remember as a teenager growing up in that work, and then even as an adult going back and helping the ladies as they got old with the technology and the really running of things like a grand retreat that you bring women into, hundreds of them at a time.
Right.
I saw the work, but I also got to see the other side. And I saw where those pains, the fears, the insecurities, and the guilt that life placed on them. And I saw them living lives where you've gone so far that you can't take that off. Or at least you feel like it. And it became the bondage for them, where the life they lived outside of closed doors was the life that they lived inside. And I'm convinced that the life you live inside is the truth.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What else can it be?
Right.
And that the
Right.
community is better served when we can live that truth in the open.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that is a caveat because living it in the open means if you're being honest,
Mm-hmm.
all your raggediness is out there.
Exactly.
And that's how we
Absolutely.
damage each other. And so the truth, I make clarify, the truth of who we are is us underneath all that damage.
Mhm.
That's the truth. That raggediness that we got, that's our ego stuff, is
Mhm.
not what our truth is.
Mhm.
And so all of the principles that tell us about living our truth dictate that we have to do the healing.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because then you can live your truth both in the light and in the dark. You can own it. And that starts with the commitment to say, do it or die trying. I'm going to live my truth. And this is about equipping you with the tools to say, when my truth shows up
Mhm.
and it's the raggediness of my damage,
Mhm.
I'm committed to addressing it. And now I have the tools to do that.
Mhm.
And so this month,
That's
what you'll
I'm
be
most
doing will be
excited
doing the
about.
work of healing.
Yeah.
I can talk any day about the philosophy of healing,
Mhm.
about the impacts, the implications, the need for it, why, how we use it, where we use it, how many different ways can we use it, what do we put with it so that it works better.
Mhm.
But at the foundation, what I realized was the minimum. What's the minimum? Because when you're dealing with how we fix it, especially when you're thinking about in the midst of crisis, part of my work, how do we do it in crisis? Because that's the real test. It'll
Mhm.
work when it's,
Mhm.
sun shining and everybody got lollipops and
Mhm.
giggles.
Right.
What about in crisis
Mhm.
times?
Mhm.
We're living in crisis times. Not as bad as it could get,
Mhm.
but we're living in some crisis times in our own lives.
They're kicking up and
Oh,
stirring, to
absolutely.
be
Mhm,
something different
mhm,
still.
mhm.
It's gonna
Everywhere in the world right
everywhere.
now.
It's gonna be an ever evolving thing.
Mhm.
That life is an ever evolving thing.
Yes.
We're about to see some things that we haven't seen before.
Mhm.
That's
And the
what I
reality
feel
is, if we even if it's if not,
Mhm.
it's still good for us to go in this direction.
Oh,
Mhm.
If
absolutely.
nothing
Without
happens,
question.
it's good for us to go in this direction. And what I realized was my choice is, how do we do compassionate ministry? If healing is what we need,
Mhm.
how do we do that compassionately? And it was, how do we give people a little bit of freedom? And one of the ways is, if you got a roof over your head, food on the table,
Mhm.
some sense of connection, some sense of stability,
Mhm.
that in and of itself buys some freedom.
Yes, it does.
It's just like your gas tank or
Mhm.
your battery.
Mhm.
If you don't put something in it and it runs empty, healing takes energy.
Mhm.
Sure.
It takes intense energy if you're doing it deeply. And this is an intense,
Mm-hmm.
this is a intense healing sabbatical.
Gotcha.
It takes energy. And so part of the work that will be on you individually to do, because LaRahna ain't gonna figure out for you, is what do you need to do to fill your tank?
Mhm.
You know where your tank's at.
Yeah.
You know how full.
I'm anxious to find out what makes me better.
Yep.
That's your work.
I don't want you to figure it out.
Right.
for me.
That is your work.
Absolutely.
What do I need to do?
Mhm.
The roof overhead, the food on the table is going to be provided.
Mhm.
The tools to be able to guide you through, the hand holding that can give you the connection to be able to go through this, so that it's not just alone,
Right.
but it's up to you to figure out what you need to put in your tank.
Yeah.
How deep are you going to heal?
Sure.
How much energy is that going to take?
Mhm.
Sometimes people see me at the spa or other things, but part of that is I have to fuel my tank.
You must.
Absolutely.
They see me going. I took a grand birthday vacation,
Yes, you
and then
did.
2 more trips back to back.
Right.
Had to go see a man about a backpack. Anyway, a whole nother story, but not for real, my real life, for real, for real.
Mhm.
But part of that is, if people really stop and talk to me about why, it's because I got work to do this year.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I got work to do. We got boots on the ground moving dirt.
Yeah.
We got people that are coming, and these month-long intensives take work.
Yes.
And part of it is, in order for me to give and it not be sacrificial, my tank got to be full.
Mhm.
And I have to figure out the things in my life that I need to fuel my tank Because I've lived life where I just give you what's in my tank, and then it's 9 o'clock at night, and I haven't had nothing to eat. And I
That's
own a
right.
restaurant.
That's
I own the
right.
farm. I
Right.
got staff. I own the chairs. I own the table.
You ain't
I own the
shit.
kitchen.
Yeah.
Ain't ate a morsel.
And I
Mhm.
realized something wrong with you, LaRahna.
Mm-hmm.
Where else in your life haven't you dealt with?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's some more lingering fears and
Mhm.
insecurities
Mhm.
that are impacting your life. I got a whole titanium knee.
Mm-hmm.
I blew out both of my knees, bone to bone,
Mm-hmm.
and still went another year on 2 walking sticks. So I needed one for both sides.
Mm-hmm.
How you run a farm and 4 other businesses
Mm-hmm.
with your knees bone on bone,
Mm-hmm.
sleeping 3.5 hours a day,
Mm-hmm.
every day, 7 days a week, 2 years straight? Because I'm thorough about some stuff. And then you realize
Yeah, really.
this is your damage showing. Are you willing to do this next round of healing? There's some layers that you've now uncovered and you can get to now.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes you can't get all the way to the core.
Right.
You can take some layers off. But it was about the commitment, saying you aren't prepared to do the next chapter if you don't.
And that's what I think people don't understand, is that healing is an ongoing process. Because once you heal from whatever this is, it exposes something else. You recognize something else, and you got to move on and heal from that. You know, I say on social media all the time, I've been on a healing journey since 2022, right? People like, well, ain't you done yet?
Follow the logic. If I heal from every issue in my life, I wake up
Done.
every morning into a society that is a traumatizing environment. Period.
So I got to re-up
So I got to re-up all the time.
Every day.
It is
I'm
a
going along
journey.
smoothly,
Yeah.
and somebody take my stuff. I don't like my stuff taken.
Right.
I don't like my stuff taken.
Right.
I had just, let me just add a little spin to it. Somebody had just given me a brand new wallet with these I've got a new word, purse charms. They make the thing, jewelry and stuff, and these stones.
Yeah.
Somebody had thought about me and made this thing, and it was a new little wallet. My cards had one little zipper spot. My money had another spot. It segregated them. This was a step up.
Acclimated to your new shit.
I was doing it. I said this morning, I said I hadn't, but my safety game was off. It was a whole bunch of things. It was a whole parade of things that got me twisted. And I had 2 of my ladies visiting me, and I was fussing at them in the moment that this happened. I was fussing at them, and I'm saying, y'all, we ain't in Touristville. I'm in real life here, and y'all walking around like tourists. We getting made. They making us. We just. And in that moment, I got. I got. I'm trying to help y'all stay safe, and I get got in the moment. But all of that is the lesson of life.
Yeah.
Has people whose damage is showing in different ways. And when our damage is showing, we damage each other.
Yeah.
It's costing me some money and some time. Some things that I didn't have to plan. I control my schedule in my life and what I do with my finances. And my finances include my life currency, my time and my energy.
That's right.
I don't let people dictate that. To wrong damage creates damage in community. And so even in this experience, it confirms this work that says when we are operating in our damage, we doing the best we can. Mind you, we doing our best, but our best can be damaging. And that's what happens when we damage each other. And so this is about saying, we got to start somewhere. And I'd rather start with the things we can do something about. Individually, I can do something about the damage in the world that's within me if I'm committed. And so part of this starts with commitment. So I've given you your assignment to figure out how you're going to fuel yourself. How much energy are you going to put in the tank so that you can pull that back out while you have the opportunity to let the rest of the burdens down and rest by the riverside. The other part of this is about feeling the other. No, back up. The other part of healing starts with commitment, because if you don't do the commitment, you're not going to do the hard stuff. And healing is not what sometimes is painted. Now, don't get me wrong. Healing is wonderful, but it gets good after you do the work.
Right.
I'm like old school. Do your work first. You ain't going out to play till you do the work.
That's right.
You ain't going out to play.
No.
going to the spa and those things, that ain't play.
Mm-mm.
That is about, I must fuel myself so I can do this work. And I
That's
want
right.
you guys to look at that the same way. The play happens after you've done the work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The things I want you to think about are, how am I fueling myself? Because sometimes we're doing it, but if we don't have the intention, we forget. We think we here because we doing the play. We at the spa and we just playing it. And those that come as my unhosted
Mindfulness.
visitors, that's what we doing. We just playing.
Mhm.
They are, maybe, inadvertently knowing it. But I want this to be an intentional process for you.
Yeah.
That you are here
It
on
is.
purpose.
It's an intentional
Y'all had to do a whole lot of
process
steps to
because
get
we got
here.
Yeah.
To even think about this. I
Yeah.
mean, even though I didn't know what all the ramifications are of what I am entering into,
Mhm.
I trust her, right? So that got me here. But understanding what's involved is not only it's a little scary, but it's wholly welcoming.
Mhm, mhm.
That's
I
what I
really
say.
want.
I'm anxiously
I
excited.
am just. I mean, I work on me every day. I don't have no choice.
Mhm.
You know.
Yeah. Oh no,
No, you
not
got
true.
choice.
Not
I
true.
make the choice to work
Yeah,
on me every
right.
day.
That is more.
Right.
That
I
is
make
closer
the
to
choice
truth.
to
You see
work
that
on
slight
it.
difference?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Closer to truth.
It lets me know what my intention is.
That's
So
right.
I make the choice to work on me, and even when I don't want to,
Mm-hmm.
it's here
Mm-hmm.
because I'm here
Mhm.
and I'm ever present. And the only way that I cannot do this is if I pretend that I am my mother.
Mm-hmm.
In those bondage places that they are, where they didn't look at themselves
Mhm.
and be able to actualize anything.
Yeah.
So I want to progress from that
Mm-hmm.
space.
So the other part of your entrance assignment,
Mm-hmm.
figure out how you're gonna fuel yourself,
Right.
and that's a daily. That's a daily thing. Every day,
Mm-hmm.
it's to realize, what do I need today?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because you may have, Scott, and then you wake up tomorrow and say, my body says,
Mm-hmm.
this is what I need today. I need to stay in this bed,
Mhm.
linger a little longer.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I expect you to be responsible for that. I will not be responsible for that.
course.
I would have to be able to read your mind,
Mm-hmm.
to be able to make those decisions.
Right.
And I am not willing to do the work for other people
I
in
don't
life.
know what
In
I
life.
get myself into.
Right. So I expect that from you.
Sure.
The other part that goes with healing is your capacity for honesty.
Mm-hmm.
I know we think we're honest, but
Mhm.
part of your challenge is every single opportunity that you have while you're here.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to pay attention to whether or not you're being honest.
Mm.
Okay?
Fair.
I want you to pay attention to that. This is where you have the opportunity to take the costumes off.
I can leave my bag of masks outside the door.
Mhm,
Exactly.
mhm.
We were talking about that on the way up.
Mm-hmm.
That it's just us.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is
Yeah.
this is our opportunity to keep it 100 with ourselves.
Well, I don't do anything else but you, to be honest.
I want you to pay attention to that in life, because you'll have situations.
Sure.
Was I honest? Did I say what I wanted to say this, but you didn't?
Right.
Oh, that was a moment of not being honest. Now, this is not with judgment. This is with no
Mhm,
judgment.
mhm.
This is not saying whether you should or shouldn't.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I just want you to observe
Mm-hmm.
that. I want you to observe anytime you have an experience where you recognize either the draw to be dishonest
Mm-hmm.
or where you say, that wasn't really fully
Mm-hmm.
honest. Because what that'll do is it'll begin to have you see the things in life that sometimes are very subtle.
Exactly.
But this is about healing. I'm a farmer. If you're weeding and there's weeds and you got a crop that you're investing in the harvest of,
Mm-hmm.
and you leave those weeds, I just cut them down. It look nice and clean.
No.
Not
There's
only
a lot
will they
going
grow
on
back,
under there.
not
Yeah.
only will they grow back, they will grow back more resilient
That's
the
right.
next time.
Mm-hmm.
The roots will have gained
Mhm.
strength
Mm-hmm.
from the nourishment that you want to invest in your crops.
That's right.
Healing works the same way.
Yeah.
And so this is not about judging the size of the weeds. It's saying if it's a weed,
It gotta go.
it's got to go. And so finding those things.
Right.
So those are your 2 assignments for this month.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be playing with this nudge app because part of this is how do I effectively use my energy, and technology is one of those ways that we're afforded right now. So being able to see what more we can do as far as helping others, especially helping them in an intense way, walk them through the intensity of getting some of those heavy boulders off. My philosophy is get the biggest boulders that you can out. There's an analogy where you see the object talk where they put boulders in and they add the small ones and they stand it, and then you pour some water in and you fill it up. Healing works in the opposite. Healing for me and this methodology, the social tech work says, reach down in there and get the biggest boulders you can. Will you get all the big boulders? Not necessarily. Is it going to displace some of the water and some of the sand and some of the little pebbles? In your healing journey, though, this is the opportunity, not a requirement, but it's an opportunity for you to take the biggest boulders that you can in life and work on them.
Sure.
My reality is if you work on the biggest boulders, everything else is easier. Everything else is easier. For me, that relationship piece of my life was my relationship with my mother. Biggest boulder in my life of biggest ball of trauma, issues, family issues. We don't say it out loud. Issues, we got issues. And we don't say what those issues are.
I do.
But part of that has been, because if I can work on this, I can work on anything. If I can deal with some of the trauma, some of the big trauma in life, I can work on anything. This little bit, that ain't nothing. Because I've done it. I've gone to those places that you're afraid of coming back from. Can I go down this rabbit hole? I haven't done it because
I don't want
I don't know the bottom.
Pandora's box, and I don't know what's in there.
Can I go there
Can I
and get
handle
back
it?
out with some sanity? Because I realize you can go down there and may never come back out. I know people who are in those and die in those pits. They just go to the bottom and never come back out. My philosophy is that healing is the way that we can get back out, but solutions are only solutions if they work.
True.
For me, okay, LaRahna, you've done all this healing work. Now, can you go to these places that you haven't been willing to go to? Can you go there now?
Exactly.
And to be able to know how scary that is.
Right.
The last major deep dive that I had to take before I retired, it was that if I go here, first of all, ain't nobody that can pull me. I do this work of how do we do this. Social tech was birthed 20 some years ago saying we have to have solutions that get us out of those places. Okay, Miss Smarty Pants. Are you willing to go? Where are those places that you haven't been willing to go?
Over there.
They over there. I know what a closet is. I know the combination for the
closet. That's right.
They organized up in there. I got them on shelves, color coded. They up in there. I know where they at. Are you willing to go there? Because if you can't, live it. I take it literally.
What are you doing?
I can't do this and be a
Deborah, Wendy, y'all come in here and do this healing. Well, LaRahna, you going into them closets?
Right. Right.
I mean that literally.
You had a therapist though that you knew hadn't done enough work, or somebody.
And a whole lot of people giving me suggestions on what I need to do to get myself together, and I say, well,
you ain't done none of that,
right?
So
right.
So part of this was, can you go there? And I'm gonna tell you. Let me tell you. Knowing that I had to go there by myself because there wasn't nowhere else to go with me. Or if these tools are a real solution, they got to work. And I remember saying, all right, God. Okay, well, you got to rubber meet the road, put your mouth where your money is, money where your mouth is, whatever. And I went and got a journal. And I said, this lot. This lot. I'm going to do it. All right, Lord, here we go. I ain't so sure that I can come back out of this. It was so scary that I said, I'm going to do it in pencil. Wow. I can't even put it in ink pen. I'm going to do it in pencil. It was that reality of because I'm going to places that I don't want to go to. They that dark.
And that mess is in your closet. It's sitting right over there where you're going, right? So we can't not divorce ourselves. So everything is that we got is coming with us.
Yeah.
So,
and it's things that I know. When I look at the chapters, my trauma profile, the big stuff, not there's a whole bunch of little stuff because life, but the big stuff, I know people personally. One part of the chapter and you don't come back. I put the last chapter into a book when people say, what does healing look like? I'm gonna be honest with you. Here what it looked like.
Mm.
And I've had people dear to me that love me dearly that say, I can't read this.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I know.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really want you to. Just read the
Right.
last chapter.
Right.
You don't
Skip to
need
the good
nothing
part.
from my trauma, that traumatized. But I said I had to live through it.
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you what it's like living through it and getting to the other side, because that's where the play happens.
Mm-hmm.
My father would say, you start living when you lose the fear of dying.
Mm-hmm.
He was wrong.
Mm.
His intention was right.
Mm-hmm.
In this work, I've realized, though, that there are some things that people fear worse than death, and it's healing.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. I can
They
see
will
that.
Yeah,
take
for
their
real.
own
I
life
can
to
see
That's
not
right.
deal
That's
with
right.
the
Yeah.
work.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
certified 5 times over
Mm-hmm.
in suicide prevention,
Mhm. Mhm.
from a traditional standpoint, from a faith-based standpoint.
Mhm.
People fear some things worse than death, and healing
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
is one of them.
Oh, I can see that.
But the principle that my father gave was accurate. If you get over the fear of the thing that you fear the worst, you start living life differently.
Yeah.
My father taught me you live a life like you're invincible. Not that you can't die, but that doesn't matter whether you do or not.
Mm-hmm.
He would say every single morning, and I brought my father back. I was living in Georgia at that time, Macon, Georgia, and he was on hospice. I brought my father back in an air ambulance with a feeding tube,
Mm.
dying of cancer.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a man that knew he was dying. Death was imminent.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And he'd wake up every morning and he corny, like old man joke corny.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And I'm Charles Hughes' daughter. And I'm working on that grandson of mine because I think he got that sense of, I sure hope he got my grandfather. Grandma, wear your blanket, because they call me Grandma Blanket. I said, I think he got it. I think he got it. Charles Hughes lives on
Yes.
in that little boy. I hope so.
Wow.
I'm encouraging that.
Mm-hmm.
And he would wake up, and I can put Band-Aids on.
Mm-hmm.
Science and all that. That wasn't my lane. That wasn't my, I don't know nothing about that.
Mhm.
Y'all try, I got a stethoscope and I got to listen to breath sounds in his belly with his feet too.
Yeah.
So, dude, your life in jeopardy. He said, I'm dying anyway. Hey.
Yeah.
And he would wake up every morning with his corny self. And he would do the same thing. This is the kind of old man joke when you tell the same joke over and over and it gets
Yes.
funnier every time because it's funnier than you every
Yeah.
time.
Yes.
That's my daddy. That's my dad. So if my antics, understand, I'm Charles Hughes' daughter. I tell the same joke over and over and it gets funnier every single time. And I don't care if you don't think it's funny. Not my problem. And he would wake up every morning and he would do the same thing. And I would go, oh no, dude, I'm talking about hospice. Hospice
Yes.
for real.
Yes.
Like you die, you about to die. It's like, oh no. And he would say, I woke up.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, why you do?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me stop it. Why you do that? And then he would pause and he'd say,
'Cause you let me.
I guess I better figure out why.
Mm-hmm.
He believed that if I woke up today, it was on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I needed to do
Mm-hmm.
was figure out why.
Mm.
There's a reason that I'm here today.
Amen.
He would say, all I have to do
Mm-hmm.
is live life fully
Mhm.
today.
Mm-hmm.
Today.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever my inner Shana tells me I need to do,
Mm-hmm.
leave today with no regrets.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, because he corny old man, his nighttime ritual was, just out of the blue, like he's getting sleepy. Let me see. Yep, I'm at peace with God. Let me think. Yeah, I've done everything I can do to be at peace with everybody else.
Mhm.
If I wake up tomorrow, I'll do it again.
Mm-hmm.
If not, put me in a Ziploc bag and throw me out back. I'm done. Don't hold me up for what's next. I think it might be heaven, but whatever it is, I'm going to be down for that too.
Mhm.
Don't hold me up. Like he's every single day.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the truth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Not fearing death, I saw it. Unflinching. If I wake up, it's because I'm supposed to. If I don't, it's because I'm done.
That's it.
Don't mean I finished everything that you
Mhm.
thought I should finish, but I'm done.
You never finish. You never get it done.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that every single day.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that was, that's the message. It came to me at a time in this work, specifically in my own struggles and challenges to, what is this work? How do we do this work of healing community, healing me? And it was the reality that when you lose the fear of dying, but then it was understanding that what he really meant, the essence of truth was when you lose the fear of the things that you fear worse than death,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you live a life that's different.
Yeah.
And that's what freedom is. Freedom for each one of us is going to be different.
Absolutely.
I don't want you to assume that I'm saying you should live life like me. Please don't.
Mm-hmm.
Please
Mm-hmm.
don't. It works some people's nerves
Mhm.
to live life in the way I do.
None of this, because I am a farm with a dam.
Mhm.
You have to shit you do.
Mhm.
I will never do it. It's not in my wheelhouse.
It's finding
I don't-
your
That's right.
freedom.
That's right.
Exactly.
What
So
that
I'm not-
means for you.
Mhm.
For me, I owning my time 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to do all my passion projects. People say, you working? Maybe. I'm doing what I want to do.
I'm doing what I want to do.
You know, it might look like work to you,
Right.
but and I do it at the pace I want to do.
Right.
Y'all had to come all the way to Ecuador to get this.
Mm-hmm.
Hey.
Because some days I don't want to put on no more than I got a new house dress. That's what I'm calling
Girl.
it. One of my visitors leave
I
me
really
stuff
wanna
that'd be
find
fabulous.
something
She
Yes.
said,
long sleeve
Yes.
and
she
We
said
gotta go
someone may
shopping.
use it. And I was like, girl, this looked like a sarong, but it got pockets and buttons up the front.
Pockets?
What?
Pockets.
House dresses to it. So V, thank you V, for
Yes,
leaving
yes,
me.
yes.
no more.
Some days I don't
Right.
want to do more than
Is
that.
the better?
Right.
The better. That you just left this joy with me.
Yes.
Pockets, girl. Pockets.
Pockets is right.
She was with Deborah. But
Deborah
did they,
Valerie.
Did they go
Mhm.
back to Ecuador together?
They're in Manta.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Then I saw the picture.
Yeah,
I
they
mean,
traveled
she-
back to
she
Manta.
said,
Mhm.
look who I brought back.
Yeah, yeah.
So they're in Manta. I don't know
Yeah.
how long she's in Manta.
Mhm.
Deborah went home to Manta,
Yes.
and
Right.
then
It's
she's
a better-
she's
it's
there
a
for
visitor.
whatever part of the journey that she's on there.
Yeah.
So part of this is being able to be true to myself
Mm-hmm.
and still do the work, because that's what we should be able to do. That's my philosophy. I should be able to do what I'm called to do
Mm-hmm.
in a way that feels good and fits into the
Mhm.
life I want to have.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to have 70 to 75 degree weather all year round. I want to have 12 hours of sunlight all year long. I want to be in a community that feels like 1970s, that feels like the inklings of what community felt like before all the layers of life happened, and helping me build a bigger bridge back to that, because this is the pendulum swinging back to be here where they say humanity needs to connect the right and the left side of brain. The heart and the head need to get back into alignment, and it needs to be in this alignment that's centered on love.
Mm-hmm.
I want that experience, and so therefore, folk got to come here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or they can go on YouTube, or they can reach out in all kinds of ways that we have. But to be able to come and do and really feel the rest of what the community does as a way of buffering those that are coming for healing. This is where I've chosen to make it. And so I'm grateful for you all giving me the opportunity to share. Take as
Grateful
much
to be
as you
here.
would
Yes.
like. Go as deep or as shallow as you need, because you know what your tanks look like.
That's right.
The opportunity is for you all to go as deeply as possible. Because then when you leave, you will either be able to say it works or it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
And that's about being honest.
Mm-hmm.
This ain't got to be the solution for everyone, but it's a doggone good solution.
Mm-hmm.
It's about rapidly deploying healing into our lives with a set of tools that we can take with us. And I believe that the month, unlike the week-long opportunities people have, will give enough time for you to really work with the tools. Because part of this is about it becoming first nature.
Right.
How do I see life and walk through life in a way that actually heals trauma and keeps the traumatizing world from continuing to traumatize me in the same way that it has?
That part.
And so that is the offer and the opportunity that I'm sharing with you. And I'm grateful for your trust in being able to come and do that. The Nudge app, I'm going to try to use that.
Mm-hmm.
I've got it set up so that every morning you guys should get a nudge that gives you your assignments for the day, because this is about doing the healing work.
Mm-hmm.
Any of the talking about that you want to do, let's do that. Logistically, we will meet in the mornings at whatever time feels comfortable, and we can do that on a day-by-day basis based on schedule, based on calendar. I got a few things on the calendar, most of them not in the morning. I think even my dentist appointments now are afternoons. But we'll be able to look at that. We'll usually try to do that in the evening so that everyone kind of has the game plan to at least start the day, when we're going to meet, if we do an early or late, whatever. We'll do that and really go over kind of the day before. I'll guide and do some instruction. We'll eat today. We'll have some downtime. We'll do like a working lunch, maybe a later lunch, because we'll do breakfast. And I'll tell you why. Livia comes, and one of the just cultural values on Tuesdays, especially when I'm home, I prepare breakfast. Part of that is she can leave in her house to come do work that I don't want to do at my house. To not ask how she's doing and care how she's doing, and make sure that we sit down and we eat together. And so when we finish, we'll wrap up in a few minutes. You guys can help me get breakfast going, and we'll have a late breakfast. We'll plan to do lunch, and I'll do some instructions of your step one, but that will have given you time to kind of go over your nudge and kind of look. I think both of you did the self-assessment part, so you don't need to go redo that. That information's in the system. I'm playing with this, and it lets me sequence it out so that it keeps it there. And I'm looking at that because I'm looking at the backside of that. Does it give me the information to be able to interact? Because the first few steps that you go through, I'll be doing some corrective work. That is not fact. You guys had a little bit of the exposure through the video that you did and kind of working through that. I'll be reiterating that, but just one step at a time. We'll be doing the next 10 days. We'll be doing just step ones. So your first assignment that should be on there is to create a table of content. 30 of the stories, 6 words or less, give them a title. Whatever you're feeling called to deal with. If you don't have your list complete, it will be a running tally until you get there. And you'll be doing those step one writings, about 3 a day. They should not be long. They should be one incident. If it starts dragging into multiple, understand, wait. Each of your incidents, estimation, and this is not a hard rule, but probably a page or two, a page or so. If you writing this long story, it's probably not one incident. It's probably where you've strung together some stuff, and it should be. And so if there's 3 things that you've strung together, those should be 3 incidents. So this should be something that you could sit down and probably in an hour or so. But take as much time as you need. There's blankets. You can go sit by the river if it's not raining. You can go up to your space. There's spaces here for you to be able to do that. And that will be the first couple of days. So this afternoon at lunch, I'll talk about the steps. I'll give you kind of some of the parameters because I want you to learn the process. This is a very strategic writing process. But this is teaching you because when you've learned it, then you can do this in real time. You understand the processing and putting words to it, and you can use this in real time because part of this says if you follow this path, and this is the evidence-based, this is the science part of it. Evidence-based research says that 95% of the symptomology of a complex PTSD is healed. This work is built on decades of work of paradigm shifters that say we have to have better ways to heal. They've done the research to say a lot of stuff we talk about, a lot of the ways that we talk and tell our stories actually creates and reinforces trauma. And this is saying if we learn how to talk it through in ways that heal us, then our energy spent, the life currency spent talking about it, gets us to a better place. There's a higher return on investment. I've been a businesswoman for a very long time. I want a return on the investment of the energy in life I'm spending. And so part of this is about learning these tools, just playing with it. Suspend what you think about trauma, suspend what you've done, and just say, let's see if this helps me get a greater return on the investment of the healing time that I'm putting into life. And that's it. We'll go through that each day, and you'll see as we'll go through, you guys were familiar from the video of the steps all combined, but we'll be taking this one step at a time. We'll do all of the step ones, then we'll do all of the step twos, and then we'll do all of the step threes, and we'll go through to the 5 steps of this process. How does that sound?
Hey, I'm here for it.
Sounds like a challenge.
Absolutely.
That's what we're gonna do. All right, we're gonna switch gears. Breakfast.
My hands to do this.
Let's see. Could fruit be your thing?
Mean in terms of
No. Tell you what you can do. Eggs and bacon, could that be your thing?
That's mine. That's not hers.
Yeah.
Food
Yeah.
restrictions. Tell me
Yeah.
about food
Yeah.
stuff.
I'm pesca vegan, so I don't
Pesca
eat
vegan.
eggs.
Okay,
or
so
meat.
somebody gifted me some bacon. Let's eat it up. Ain't got but a little bit.
Eat it
Let's
up.
eat it up.
Yeah.
If you could handle the bacon part, could you do eggs? If we had some eggs, could you do some like scrambled
I
eggs?
can scramble eggs.
Okay, I'll do a fruit platter and probably get us some croissants because I got some.
She doesn't eat eggs.
You don't eat eggs.
Uh-uh.
Okay, so
I mean, but I know how to cook them.
what kind of breakfast stuff? Do you eat breakfast?
I
You
do.
got
I
yogurts?
yeah, I
You got
do.
granola?
No.
I have some kefir. I have some fresh made kefir,
Mm-mm.
probiotics.
Yeah.
So I can do smoothies.
Yeah. I'm easy. Do you have any peanut butter?
I don't.
Okay.
But put those things on your list because we'll go.
Yeah. That's a staple for me. So I mean,
Okay.
fruit and yeah, I'm good.
Why don't you do beverages?
Okay.
We'll make some tea.
Mm-hmm.
You guys, I think, have a teapot upstairs.
Mhm.
What are we gonna do for potatoes?
I can do potatoes.
Why don't you peel some potatoes
Mm-hmm.
and let's get those diced up.
Mm-hmm.
Bacon.
Bacon and eggs.
Hey, works for me.
Hey.
Some potatoes with some onions in them.
And then
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
do
yeah,
some
yeah.
fruit, some onions,
I
and
can
some.
do
I got some
onions.
bell peppers.
Yeah. I can do the potatoes. I mean, I can cook. I hate to cook, but I can cook.
So okay, so here's my idiosyncrasies. So about that food. So the potato be little dirty potatoes, but they are.
Mhm.
I'm on this whole. I'm not a potato person, but these potatoes.
Okay.
They
They
just
I'm on these sweet potatoes in Ecuador that are the ugliest things.
the
I've ever
camote.
seen. And with the yellow meat.
Yeah.
They're so sweet.
Yeah.
Just delicious. Just bake those. But bake them up and call it a day.
So I wash my potatoes because then I do fried potato skins because I'm like trying. Okay, so
Is
for
that what
real,
the skins was over there? I thought that was
do not.
And I thought
So-
it was ginger, but I said no.
So I wash them really good
Mhm.
because I'm about that waste thing. I'm trying to. I was a sustainability farmer.
Mhm.
I know that. But I'm also like for real in my real life. I'm trying to be the queen of snacks.
Wait,
That is
real life.
Legitimately, one of my life missions is to be the queen of snacks.
Uh-huh.
And then fried. First of all, it's these potatoes.
Mhm.
These potatoes are
Do you
just
still have those skins over there?
in the refrigerator because.
Okay, you gonna hook them up later, right? So we can get to.
And there's a whole sauce that goes with it. There's a whole.
All right, girl.
And sometimes
you do all the things
She
you want to
said
do in your real
queen of
life.
So my request is not to hinder my snack making ability.
So-
If you would take the energy and scrub those potatoes because they be dirty when you get them. They just be plain little dirty potatoes.
And save the skin.
Save the
And
skins.
just
Because we gonna
You got a potato peeler?
I do.
we gonna
Okay.
have fun with them skins.
They sound delicious.
don't they?
Yes.
I'm trying
I'm
real
really
hard to be like the
impressed
queen
with your,
of snacks.
with
I'm
your real
trying.
life. I'm just saying.
I'm serious.
I'm not mad about it.
I
at
don't put
all.
stuff on social media because it'd be like, what's she doing
Don't.
now? And my
Don't.
kids might see it and be like, Mama, for real, did you really? Are you out there looking like that?
Mm-hmm.
They don't need to know.
And they
everything.
know. So like, I've had people come and they were like, oh, we thought that stuff on social media was just like for the social media. And I was like, oh, that didn't have the story. It's so much worse than that. Like, you
think
were
you know me, you don't have a
serious.
clue.
I said literally. That's what I said. I said literally.
Mhm.
This is what I'm fixing to do. You didn't hear that part? No, I meant that. I meant that. And part of this here is this. If I leave my house, there's going to be an adventure.
Mm-hmm.
It was the man juggling fire sticks at the stop
saw
sign.
him.
Saw
Yeah, did you see the man?
Yes,
He was
we
about
did.
to
Standing on somebody else.
Yes.
Juggling the fire sticks.
Yep.
just on any given
Given
day.
day.
Things that just delight my soul for
Yeah.
no reason. Like LaRahna.
That was a good reason.
Did you?
Yeah.
I be looking for it though. Like I be in expectation when I go
Mhm,
out that
mhm.
life
Yeah.
is going to thoroughly entertain me.
Yes.
Thoroughly entertain
Because
me.
you're looking for it.
I'm looking
Mhm.
for it. It
Right.
finds me.
And it's
Yeah.
gonna
Matter of fact, I
come.
got. I didn't even post. I went and got flowers yesterday, but I got this flower bombing project going on this year because folk done sent me them dollars on Cash App.
Yeah.
So I got to go find someone, and I realized when I get flowers close to home, I got to put extra effort in finding someone to give the flower bomb. But I got somebody in mind.
Okay.
For this week's flower bomb.
Cool.
So I find ways, and if I don't find it, I create ways, and And so I'm trying to be the queen of snacks. That's what I'm saying. So would you please, all that to say, would you please wash the potato skins
I'ma wash 'em.
before you
Ladies
peel
like
them?
love.
And
Ladies
please
like
don't
love.
throw them away because
That's
Right.
who you are for me. Ladies
I'm
like
working on
love.
the
I got
sauce with healthy probiotics in the sauce. Because
Hey.
we're trying to get it in. I'm trying to layer as much benefit. So I have some kefir grains, and Deborah wanted some kefir. I said, well, I'll get them activated for you. You can take them home. So now it has sauce.
Mm, mm, mm.
So,
Let's go.
all right.
Enough talk.